The first flames crackled to life in the dry brush, a sound that has become all too familiar in recent years. The dry conditions, a result of prolonged drought and rising temperatures, created a perfect storm for the fire to spread rapidly. A familiar, terrifying scene was replayed once more. The fire, initially a small spark, quickly grew into a monstrous blaze, consuming everything in its path. The speed at which it spread was both awe-inspiring and horrifying, a testament to the power of nature. January 2025 would etch itself into California's memory as another month consumed by wildfire. The fires this year were particularly devastating, with record-breaking temperatures and strong winds fanning the flames. From the Hollywood Hills to the canyons of Malibu, infernos raged, fueled by nature's fury and fanned by human folly. The picturesque landscapes, once a symbol of California's beauty, were now scenes of destruction and despair. 7 major blazes scarred the landscape, each a ravenous beast, hungry for timber and home. The fires did not discriminate, consuming forests, homes and businesses alike, leaving behind a trail of ash and ruin. The air, thick with smoke and fear, held the acrid tang of destruction. Visibility was reduced to mere feet in some areas, and the sun was often obscured by the thick, choking haze. Thousands fled their homes, becoming refugees in their own state. The evacuation centers quickly filled to capacity, with families huddled together, anxiously awaiting news of their homes and loved ones. The Golden State, known for its beaches and sunshine, found itself once again battling a foe as relentless as it was unforgiving. The contrast between the idyllic coastal scenes and the raging infernos inland was stark and jarring. News reports flashed images of towering walls of flame, a terrifying spectacle that underscored the vulnerability of life and property in the face of nature's raw power. The media coverage brought the horror into living rooms across the nation, eliciting a mix of sympathy and helplessness from viewers. The fires of January 2025 were a stark reminder of the precarious balance between humanity and the environment, a balance easily tipped towards disaster. The charred remains of once thriving ecosystems stood as a testament to the destructive force of unchecked wildfires. The cost of these fires, both in dollars and human lives, was staggering. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble, and the emotional toll on the affected communities was immeasurable. While the full extent of the damage would take weeks, if not months, to assess, the early estimates were grim. The financial impact was expected to be in the billions, with countless lives disrupted and livelihoods destroyed. The economic blow from lost homes, businesses, and tourism would be measured in the billions. The fires not only destroyed physical structures, but also shattered the dreams and aspirations of many Californians. But it was the human cost that resonated most deeply. The lives lost, the families displaced, the communities forever scarred by the trauma of the flames. Memorials sprang up in the aftermath, honoring those who had perished and offering a place for survivors to grieve. As the fires raged, a sense of grim determination settled over the region. Firefighters, many of whom had been battling blazes for weeks on end, continued their efforts with unwavering resolve. Firefighters, stretched thin and weary, battled with a courage born of both duty and desperation. Their tireless efforts, often in the face of overwhelming odds, were nothing short of heroic. Residents, many having faced this fiery foe before, rallied to support one another, offering shelter, supplies, and a shoulder to cry on. The sense of community and solidarity was palpable as neighbors helped neighbors in their time of need. Amidst the devastation, the spirit of resilience, a hallmark of Californians, flickered defiantly. Rebuilding efforts began almost immediately, with volunteers and local organizations working tirelessly to restore what had been lost. The road to recovery would be long and arduous, but the determination to rebuild and move forward was unwavering. The wildfires of January 2025 were not merely an act of fate, they were a catastrophic event that had been building up over years, if not decades. They were the result of a dangerous convergence of factors, a lethal combination of natural and human-induced elements that created the perfect conditions for disaster. A perfect storm of weather conditions and human practices turned the California landscape into a tinderbox, ready to ignite at the slightest provocation. Foremost among the culprits were the infamous Santa Ana winds, those fierce, dry gusts that howl down from the high desert, creating a relentless force of nature. These winds, known for their intensity and dryness, have long been a part of California's climate, but their impact has grown more severe with changing weather patterns. Sucking the moisture from the air and whipping flames into a frenzy, the Santa Ana winds turned small fires into raging infernos, making firefighting efforts nearly impossible. These devil winds, as they're sometimes called, reached speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, creating a relentless force that spread the flames with terrifying speed, turning embers into spot fires and pushing the flames across the parched landscape. The winds created a scenario where the fire could leap across roads and rivers, making containment a daunting task. Compounding the danger was a prolonged drought that had left the vegetation tinder dry, primed for ignition. This drought was not a short-term event, but a multi-year phenomenon that had drained the moisture from the land. Years of below-average rainfall had turned forests into stands of matchsticks, ready to explode at the slightest spark. The lack of water had weakened trees, making them more susceptible to fire. The forest floor, covered in dry leaves and brittle twigs, became a bed of kindling, waiting for a spark to set it ablaze. This created a highly flammable environment that was difficult to manage. Climate change, with its insidious creep of rising temperatures and shifting weather patterns, cast a long shadow over the disaster. The gradual increase in global temperatures had far-reaching effects on local climates. Warmer, drier conditions had extended the fire season, turning what was once a seasonal threat into a year-round menace. This meant that the window for potential wildfires had widened significantly. Firefighters who were once able to focus their efforts during specific months now found themselves battling blazes throughout the year. This constant state of alert put immense strain on resources and personnel. As the planet warmed, the likelihood of extreme fire events like those that ravaged California in January 2025 increased exponentially. The changing climate created conditions that were more conducive to large, uncontrollable fires. The rise in global temperatures was not just a statistic, it had real, tangible effects on the ground. The increased heat dried out vegetation faster, making it more flammable and harder to control once ignited. Human actions, both intentional and unintentional, also played a role in fueling the inferno. Arson, a persistent scourge in California, was suspected in some of the blazes. Carelessly discarded cigarettes, sparks from machinery, even the heat from a car's catalytic converter on dry grass could ignite a conflagration. The role of human negligence cannot be overstated. Simple acts of carelessness, such as not properly extinguishing a campfire or discarding a cigarette butt, could have devastating consequences. Even the heat from a car's catalytic converter on dry grass could ignite a conflagration. This highlights the need for greater awareness and responsibility when it comes to fire safety. As the state's population continued to grow, pushing further into wildland areas, the interface between human activity and fire-prone landscapes became ever more perilous. Urban sprawl brought more people into close contact with these dangerous environments. The expansion of suburban areas into wildland interfaces increased the risk of fires starting and spreading. Homes built near forests were particularly vulnerable, as they were often surrounded by flammable vegetation. The wildland-urban interface, where human development meets natural landscapes, became a hotspot for fire activity. This area was particularly challenging to protect, as it required balancing the needs of residents with the realities of fire management. In conclusion, the wildfires of January 2025 were a stark reminder of the complex interplay between natural forces and human actions. They underscored the urgent need for comprehensive strategies to mitigate the risk of future disasters.